Welcome to Construction Safety, presented by Project Solutions, sponsored by the South Dakota Department of Transportation. Construction is a major contributor to the U.S. economy. It provides over 11 million jobs, including over 25,000 in the state of South Dakota. There are about 12,900 workplace injuries every day in the United States and around 7 million injuries per year. On average, 15 people die every day from a workplace accident. Of these 15 per day, about 3 are in the construction industry, or 20%. In 2020, there were 1,008 workplace fatalities. All these injuries and deaths are preventable with proper safety training and enforcement. As the name implies, construction safety involves implementing rules, regulations, and safeguards at construction sites to keep workers safe from injury and harm. There are countless hazards that could cause serious injury or death unless the proper precautions are taken. Although construction work has been around for about as long as human life, the concept of construction safety has only been around for the last few hundred years. Here is the general timeline for how it has evolved in the United States. Soon after the Civil War ended, construction employers started purchasing insurance policies to protect them in case injuries occurred at the job site. They even raised wages to get more qualified workers. Some safety policies were put in place, however, they were rarely enforced. In the early 1900s, about one person died every day from a construction accident. In 1910, the Workers' Compensation Law was passed. This gave workers the legal right to receive compensation for missed wages and medical bills when hurt on the job. This also started increasing safety measures at work. In the 1930s, the first mandatory safety measures were put into place during the construction of the Golden Gate Bridge. Personal protective equipment was required to be worn and nets were placed below the workers in case of a fall. These regulations dramatically decreased the number of fatalities compared to other projects during the time. Many others followed in suit. In 1970, the Occupational Safety and Health Act was passed. This required businesses to enforce strict health and safety measures for the employees and provide adequate training. OSHA allows safety inspections to be conducted on a regular basis. Since this act was passed, injury and fatality rates have decreased significantly. Technology has improved, and so has safety in the workplace. It will only continue to get safer for the worker. OSHA is part of the United States Department of Labor. This law created the Occupational Safety and Health Administration, or OSHA, which sets and enforces protective workplace safety and health standards. OSHA also provides information, training, and assistance to employers and workers. OSHA standards are rules that describe the methods employers are legally required to follow to protect their workers from hazards. Examples of OSHA standards include requirements to provide fall protection, prevent trenching cave-ins, prevent exposure to some infectious diseases, prevent exposure to such harmful substances such as asbestos and lead, and provide training for certain dangerous jobs. Employers must also comply with the General Duty Clause of the OSH Act. This clause requires employers to keep their workplaces free of serious recognized hazards and is generally cited when no specific OSHA standard applies to the hazard. Inspections are initiated without advance notice, conducted using on-site or telephone investigations, performed by highly trained compliance officers, and based on the following priorities: imminent danger, catastrophes, which is fatalities or hospitalizations, worker complaints and referrals, targeted inspections, particular hazards, high injury rates, follow-up inspections. On-site inspections can be triggered by a complaint from a current worker or the representative if they believe there is a serious hazard or that their employer is not following OSHA standards or rules. OSHA offers free confidential advice. Several programs and services help employers identify and correct job hazards as well as improve their injury and illness prevention programs. OSHA provides training and educational materials and tools to employers and employees. Their extensive publications help explain OSHA standards, job hazards, and mitigation strategies and provide assistance in developing effective safety and health programs. Your number one priority as an employer should be keeping your workers and yourself safe. No work is ever more important than a life. Accidents do happen, but they can be prevented by ensuring you are following the proper protocols. These rules not only prevent dangerous accidents from occurring in the first place, but they also teach workers how to avoid dangerous situations and how to react to them. Injuries and illnesses can negatively affect every aspect of a worker's life. It has been proven to put stress on relationships and lose income and financial well-being. It can create low self-esteem, a loss of independence, mental health problems, and other medical problems. With the proper safety practices, a healthy workplace can lower injury costs, illness costs, reduce absenteeism and turnover, increase productivity and quality of work, and raise employee morale. In other words, safety is good for business. Plus, protecting workers is the right thing to do. Employers can save $4 to $6 for every dollar spent on a safety and health program. Workplaces with successful safety and health management systems reduce injury and illness costs 20 to 40% according to Osha. Small business, one injury can mean financial disaster. Costs to a business include production losses, wages for work not performed, increased workers' compensation insurance costs, damage to equipment or machinery, hiring and or training new employees, decline in product quality and worker morale, high turnover, and lost work time. The cost of workplace injuries, illnesses, and deaths is much greater than the cost of workers' compensation insurance alone. Insurance is just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to these costs. According to Osha, the top 6 most common workplace injuries are due to the following: slips, trips, and falls, overexertion and muscle strains, struck by objects, crashes or collisions, exposure to harmful substances or environments, and fire and explosions. OSHA has many resources to teach you how to prevent these injuries. There will be a resources section at the end of this presentation. Despite the increasing causes of injury and workplace accidents, there is a persistent 4 popularly called the fatal 4 according to OSHA. These 4 are the most common causes of construction site death. These 4 hazards represent 60% of the deaths of construction workers. They are falls, which is 33.5% of construction worker deaths, struck by an object, 11.1% of construction worker deaths, electrocutions, 8.5% of construction worker deaths, and caught in or between, which is 5.5% of construction worker deaths. Workplace safety training is a process that aims to provide your workforce with knowledge and skills to perform their work in a way that is safe for them and their coworkers. During employee safety training courses, workers are taught the proper precautions to take when operating heavy machinery, how to lift or move heavy objects correctly, and what to do if a situation is creating an unsafe working environment. An effective workplace safety plan includes instructions and guidelines to identify hazards, report them, and deal with incidents. Workplace training sets the precedent for the proper protocols for safety measures that must be implemented at every job site, such as reinforcements, safety railings, and protective gear that must be provided to every worker. For bigger jobs, we recommend having safety and health professionals on staff to ensure you meet all requirements and nothing gets missed. Establishing a company safety training program is quite a grand undertaking, especially since there are so many available topics which need to be covered. Ultimately, your safety training program needs to meet 2 goals. First, to properly inform and train your staff regarding the proper workplace safety protocols, and second, to pass the OSHA construction safety inspection. First, to create a safety training program covering everything that will be addressed in the inspection, it is important to follow the construction safety checklist published by OSHA. This lays out all of the hazards you must avoid and precautions that need to be followed. If your worksite is missing any of these components, you could receive a violation. OSHA's checklist includes PPE, scaffolding safety, electrical safety, floor and wall openings, elevated surfaces, hazard communication, crane safety, and forklifts. Identify the needs of your business, potential hazards, and training objectives. Then analyze past incidents and common industry hazards. Figure out which issues need to be addressed through training and which have other solutions like protective equipment or warning signs. Involve your workforce in developing, implementing, and optimizing the training program. The contribution of managers, supervisors, and workers is crucial. They have the best understanding of how work gets done and where dangers to their safety and health might be hiding. Encourage them to speak up and use their stop work authority. Ensure they know their rights about speaking up against hazards without fear of retaliation. Create modular training and testing processes that can be applied to each role in the business according to regulations. For example, knife safety handling instructions are the same for a waiter and a fry cook, while fire safety protocols or handling cleaning material might be different for each. Train managers and supervisors in the safety requirements of their teams. This will allow them to identify issues with employee compliance with safety regulations. Include communication channels for hazard reporting in your training so workers know who to contact and how to prevent a potential accident. This one is less commonly used, but test your workers with quizzes, surprise inspections. These can help you determine how effective your workplace safety program is before an accident forces you to discover it is not. Provide continuous and easy access to safety training content to let employees refresh their memory when necessary. For example, an employee who was instructed on the safety requirements of operating a certain machine 6 months ago and hasn't touched it since. It is more likely to stay safe if they have the content of the training course readily available for him or her to review. You need to encourage a great incident reporting culture so that you can effortlessly create a safer workplace and can identify how your company can continually improve the workplace environment. When a new incident happens, you have to take a quick method to relay the message to all your employees to avoid the incident from happening a second time. Employees need to be able to easily access old hazard reports so they can learn on the job. You should be able to warn and alert your employees to a hazard before it happens. When one happens, you need to be able to handle the situation during the incident. And then after the incident, you have to be able to easily let the rest of the team know, like about the wet floor sign, so slipping can be avoided. There is a lot that goes into protecting your employees, so you must have a stable process in place. As an employer, it is your legal and moral responsibility to instruct your workers on how to perform in a safe and healthy manner before they even start to work. Safety training is an integral part of the employee onboarding process, but it also requires regular refresher courses for compliance and effectiveness. Not only because employee alertness goes down over time, but also because safety protocols change to keep up with changes in equipment, materials, and rules within the business. Never assume your employees know what a safe and an unsafe act is. Safety should be important in everyone's lives as it is everyone's responsibility. All it takes is one person disregarding safety measures to get someone injured. Federal law entitles you to a safe workplace. You must keep your workplace free of known health and safety hazards. Workers have the right to speak up about hazards without fear of retaliation. They also have the right to receive workplace safety and health training in a language they understand, work on machines that are safe, receive required safety equipment such as gloves or a harness and lifeline for falls, be protected from toxic chemicals, request an OSHA inspection and speak to the instructor, report an injury or illness and get copies of your medical records, review records of work-related injuries and illnesses, and see results of tests taken to find workplace hazards. As an employer, you must follow these rules and make sure your workers know their rights. I suggest printing out a poster of workers' rights and posting it at the office or on the job site. OSHA offers magnets as well as other resources that can be placed on the job site. Shown here are the magnets. OSHA inspectors, called Compliance, Safety, and Health Officers, are experienced, well-trained industrial hygienists and safety professionals whose goal is to assure compliance with OSHA requirements and help employers and workers reduce on-the-job hazards and prevent injuries, illnesses, and deaths in the workplace. They normally make their inspections without advance notice. You as an employer have the right to require compliance officers to obtain an inspection warrant before entering the worksite. OSHA focuses its inspection resources on the most hazardous workplaces in the following order of priority. 1. Imminent danger situations. 2. Severe injuries and illnesses. 3. Worker complaints. 4. Referrals. 5. Targeted inspections. And 6. Follow-up inspections. OSHA also offers fact sheets that I would highly suggest reading and posting in your workplace. It can be found using this link. OSHA 10-hour training teaches basic safety and health information to entry-level workers in construction and general industry. It is part of the OSHA Outreach Training Program, which explains serious workplace hazards, workers' rights, employer responsibilities, and how to file an OSHA complaint. OSHA 30-hour training for construction and general industry prepares supervisors and workers to avoid workplace safety and health risks. OSHA authorized courses are 100% online and accessible 24/7 from any web-enabled device. Topics covered in the OSHA 30-hour training include general worksite safety, avoiding common hazards, understanding workers' rights, employer responsibilities, and more. You can finish your training at your own pace and earn an official OSHA 30 card from the U.S. Department of Labor, a common requirement for employment in construction and other industries. In the construction industry, a Toolbox Talk is a short safety message used to address hazards, share best practices, and reinforce safety requirements prior to employees beginning their workday. A frontline supervisor or safety representative is normally the individual responsible for choosing a relevant safety topic to present to the work crew. These Toolbox Talks take place in the field and can be as short as 5 or 10 minutes long. Toolbox Talks, which are also referred to as safety talks, are an effective method to consistently address safe behaviors with all field employees. These can be done as much as every day and as little as once a week. Have all those in attendance sign in. Make sure the topic is relevant to your work. A good idea to go over safety every morning, even if it's not as formal as a Toolbox Talk. 5 minutes a day, 5 days a week, equates to 21 hours of safety training per year. Mental health should also be at the top of the list when it comes to worker safety. Everyone goes through ups and downs in their lives, but some may be more severe than others. You need to make sure you're checking in on your employees and noticing signs of them struggling with mental health. According to the CDC, construction has the highest suicide rate of all industries at 53.2 suicides per 100,000 workers. That's about 4 times greater than the national average, which is 17.3 per 100,000. And 5 times greater than all other construction fatalities combined, which is 10.1 per 100,000. Another recent CDC study noted that construction workers are also disproportionately prone to abuse alcohol and drugs, especially opioids, cocaine, and marijuana. The number of construction workers abusing prescription opioids is estimated at 3.2% versus 2% of the general population. Similar proportions are seen with cocaine use, 1.8% versus 0.8%, and non-medical marijuana use, 12.3% versus 7.5%. This proved to be a twofold risk for construction workers because abuse of drugs and alcohol can severely impair physical safety on the job, increasing the chances of a harmful or fatal accident in what is already one of the most dangerous industries. Additionally, opioids have been linked to as many as 20% of suicides in the U.S., and excessive alcohol is involved in 22% of U.S. suicides. Why are construction workers at risk? There are many reasons why construction workers are so prone to facing mental health issues that can result in substance abuse and suicidal thoughts. One of the biggest factors is that 89% of construction workers are men. Generally speaking, men underreport mental health issues and are therefore less likely to receive appropriate treatment. It's not a coincidence that men are also more likely to abuse drugs and alcohol and commit suicide, both of which are extreme forms of self-treatment for chronic mental health problems. Additionally, construction workers, male or female, often deal with issues that can lead to high levels of stress, anxiety, and depression. Chronic pain, pressure to perform, and sleep deprivation rank high in this regard. The CDC study found that the construction industry exhibits many common risk factors that are associated with feelings of helplessness and loss of control. This includes competitive, high-pressure work environment, high prevalence of alcohol and substance abuse, end-of-season layoffs, separation from family. This has become especially prevalent in response to the COVID-19 crisis and its prolonged compounding effects. In fact, studies have shown that 41% of U.S. adults are now reporting symptoms of anxiety or depression-related disorders, much of which is attributed in part to the pandemic. All of the above and more are proven to challenge mental stability. Their effects on an individual's well-being are only compounded within a work culture which valorizes toughness. The Construction Industry Alliance for Suicide Prevention reports that many within the industry suffer in silence due to cultural expectations. Despite advancements in education and awareness, mental health issues remain stigmatized in some circles, and suicide is a taboo topic on the job site. As such, many workers feel forced to deal with it, not seeking out the help they need, and symptoms just get worse. To counteract this long-standing challenge, the mental health of your workforce needs to be prioritized at the same level as wearing safety goggles and tagging out live circuits. While some within the industry struggle to keep up with an evolving narrative about mental health, empowering workers to seek out resources is a crucial part of every manager's job description. Mental health affects anyone and everyone. There is a stigma that there is something wrong with you if you struggle with mental health. This is simply not true. We all need to do our part and educate people on what mental health is and what it looks like. Make sure you're checking in on your employees and encouraging them to take care of themselves. In the male-dominated world of construction, where mental health discussions are rare, it's critical for employers to cultivate a workplace environment in which workers feel supported and comfortable discussing mental health issues. Providing support and the right resources can help shift the industry's outdated mindset around mental well-being. One of the most powerful tools in your toolbox to fight against mental health issues is education. No progress can be made without a culture change, and every educated worker is a step closer to squashing the stigma that keeps workers from facing their inner demons. Research mental health outreach programs and make sure these resources are readily available to workers. Something like the Suicide Prevention Hotline is a proven resource that could save a worker's life. Construction Financial Management has compiled a list of suicide prevention partners specifically designed to serve construction workers. Many have been able to take advantage of Construction Industry Alliance for Suicide Prevention's online training program and behavioral health screening. Empowering workers to seek out resources is a crucial part of every manager or superintendent's job description. The other important element is awareness. If you're in a leadership role, you can't help someone if you don't know they're suffering. You simply don't know what you don't know. This further punctuates the need for full disclosure. Encourage workers to share mental health issues during new employee orientation. This insight and other critical medical records such as pre-existing conditions and contact information can easily be stored and accessed through a labor management application. While some employees might be reluctant to share this information, if you foster a safe, understanding culture on and off the job site, workers will be more likely to open up. Even when education, improved awareness, and transparency on and off the job site, it's still likely that mental health challenges will go unreported at times. But that doesn't mean you won't be able to see the signs if you're looking for them. According to CIASP, the following are signs of serious anxiety, depression, and suicidal thoughts that can be especially noticeable on the construction site. Decreased productivity, increased conflict among coworkers, near hits, incidents, and injuries, decreased problem-solving ability, and increased tardiness and absenteeism. Whether you're a safety manager, developer, or a cement mixer, no matter what your job is, it's everyone's responsibility on site to keep each other safe, not just from external threats, but internal ones too. Mental health awareness and suicide prevention are just as important as a job safety issues, and now is the time to focus on creating a safe culture, providing training to your entire staff, raising awareness of the problem, making resources available to all employees, and normalizing conversations around mental health. In conclusion, safety should be your top priority as an employer. You want to make sure each of your employees go home to their families at the end of the day. No job is worth getting injured over. Construction safety not only prevents accidents from occurring on the job site, but it also improves employee morale, lowers employee absences and turnover, can increase employee retention, increases productivity and quality of work, and lowers injury and illness costs. Having an effective workplace safety program is a no-brainer. Make sure your workplace safety plan is taught to all of your employees. They cannot prevent accidents if they do not know the hazards. Signs and posters can be used to help remind your employees of workplace hazards. There are so many resources out there for construction safety. Weekly Toolbox Talks are a great instrument to use to make sure your employees are not getting complacent. Construction safety is ever-changing, so make sure you are always staying up to date with the latest procedures and protocols. OSHA offers online newsletters that can help you stay current on safety requirements. If you have any questions, please contact dbe@projectsolutionsinc.com or call 605-737-0377. Thank you.